Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. This is April Showers of the April Showers Network. First, I want to say I want to give honor to God, who is the head of my life. And now I'm going to start my show. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the Black Panthers who who make sure that kids were given free lunches before they went to school. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the Black Panthers. Power to Assata Shakur. Now, I don't want nobody to get this twisted, okay? The Black Panther Party was a group of people that were doing the betterment of Black people. Black Panther Party, they are the ones that started with Women, Infants, and Children's program. Okay, power to the people. But the government has never wanted to see our people advance. Okay, you know, they scared of us because see, we them chosen people. I know who I am. Power to the people. Okay, power to the people. Now, we got sitting in that, in the hypocritical house, the alleged white supremacy house. We've got Kash Patel telling us that we should not mourn the death of Black liberation activist Assata Shakur. Okay, Kash Patel, you need to worry about your folks, but you ain't got to worry about them because your people, they got their money. The Indians received their money. We still waiting on field order 15. Okay, our mule and up to 40 acres. Okay, and we know y'all the yes people. You want me to mourn a man that talked about my race, but then you want to tell me that nobody should be mourning the death of Assata Shakur. Now, let's look at this for what it really is. Who who walks into a prison, free a woman, and she gets all the way to Cuba? Mm, I never thought she did the alleged crime that they tried to pin on her. And she said she did not unalive that New Jersey cop, right? Because you know, back then, you know, and right now, they're still unaliving us. Okay? I don't know. I don't know. You people are really sick to try to tell people who they should mourn. Okay, we we hip to you. I've been hip to you. I've been hip to you, United States of America. Okay, I've been hip to y'all. But anyway, we're gonna look at some videos of the beautiful Black liberation activists. Hold on, y'all.
Liberation Army. Assata Shakur was convicted in the May 2nd, 1973 killing of a New Jersey state trooper during a shootout that left one of her fellow activists dead. She was shot twice by police during the incident. In 1979, she managed to escape from jail and flee to Cuba, where she received political asylum. She long proclaimed her innocence. In 1998, Democracy Now! Aired her reading an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba. She wrote the message after New Jersey state troopers sent the Pope a letter asking him to call for her extradition. This is Assata Shakur.
My name is Assata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. My early childhood in the racist segregated South. I later moved to the northern part of the country where I realized that Black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression. I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles, the anti-war movement, and most of all, in the movement for the liberation of African Americans in the United States. I later joined the Black Panther Party, an organization that was targeted by the COINTELPRO program, a program that was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies, to destroy the Black liberation movement in the United States, to discredit activists, and to eliminate potential leaders. Under the COINTELPRO program, many political activists were harassed, imprisoned, murdered, or otherwise neutralized. As a result of being targeted by COINTELPRO, I, like many other young people, was faced with the threat of prison, underground, exile, or death. The FBI, with the help of local police agencies, systematically sent false accusations and fake news articles to the press, accusing me and other activists of crimes we did not commit. Although in my case the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer could shoot me on sight. It was not until the Freedom of Information Act was passed in the mid-70s that we began to see the scope of the United States government's persecution of political activists. At this point, I think that it is important to make one thing very clear. I have advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back. I was left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I was taken to a local hospital where I was threatened, beaten, and tortured. In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that could only be described as a ritual lynching. In 1979, I was able to escape with the aid of some of my fellow comrades. I saw this as a necessary step, not only because I was innocent of the charges against me, but because I knew that the racist legal system in the United States, I would receive no justice. I was also afraid that I would be murdered in prison. I later arrived in Cuba, where I am currently living in exile as a political refugee. The New Jersey State Police and other law enforcement officials say they want to see me brought to justice. But I would like to know what they mean by justice. Is torture justice? I was kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 years, mostly in men's prisons. Is that justice? My lawyers were threatened with imprisonment and imprisoned. Is that justice? I was tried by an all-white jury without even the pretext of impartiality and then sentenced to life in prison plus 33 years. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too. I ask nothing for myself. I only ask you to examine the social reality of the United States and to speak out against the human rights violations that are taking place. On this day, the birthday of Martin Luther King, I am reminded of all those who gave their lives for freedom. Most of the people who live on this planet are still not free. I ask only that you continue to work and pray to end oppression and political repression. It is my heartfelt belief that all the people on this earth deserve justice. Social justice, political justice, and justice. I believe it is the only way we will ever achieve peace and prosperity on this earth. I hope that you enjoy your visit to Cuba. This is not a country that is rich in material wealth, but it is a country that is rich in human wealth, spiritual wealth, and moral wealth. Respectfully yours, Assata Shakur, Havana, Cuba.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. Of our audience support journalism.
Again, we put nothing that per the federal government, we know Malcolm X was taken out by the federal government. Now, the question you should ask, we know how dirty these people in the United States of America is, because there is no way this lady would have been able to escape from prison and get to another country. She had some powerful people behind her because they knew what they would do to our beautiful black queen. She said she had her hands in the air. We also know what they did to the Black Panther Party. Do your research. But to have Kash Patel, the FBI director, to tell us who we should mourn, and y'all done sat up here and done divided this country. And I don't even want to say that guy's name anymore because I don't even want his derogatory energy in my spirit. But y'all wanted us to go plumb crazy about CK. But you want to tell people not to mourn this lady? You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. Power to the people. Power to the people. Kash Patel, you need to be worried about those Epstein files. You need to be worried about everything that's going on in that White House. What all of these people, ex-presidents, former presidents, what about getting justice for the victims of Epstein? And we know that you are a yes man. We know you are a yes man. Yes man. You are a yes man. I want to give you guys a little background on just what the Black Panthers was about. And bear with me. Power to the people. Power to the people.
In the 1960s civil rights movement, some concluded that nonviolence and the focus on integration had failed. Rather than integrating society, they wanted to fundamentally change it, and they didn't renounce violence in self-defense. Their cry was Black Power rather than We Shall Overcome. One of the most prominent of these groups was the Black Panther Party, who was also perhaps one of the most misunderstood and most vilified by the white establishment. For Black History Month, that's the topic of tonight's Hidden Histories. The Black Panther Party was revolutionary in both its goals and its tactics. It began in 1966 in response to both the assassination of Malcolm X, a leading advocate of black separatism, and the killing of an unarmed black 16-year-old named Matthew Johnson during a San Francisco police stop. Founders Bobby Seale and Huey Newton were college students at the time.
We, the Black Panther Party, as long as the evil, just and corrupt officials, as long as the oppressor makes the law, the people are not bound to respect them. We are bound to transform society and erect a system where people will receive justice.
Their 10-point program leaned heavily on Marxism. They saw Black American struggles as part of a global liberation movement.
Black people are treated very much as Vietnamese people or any other colonized people because we're brutalized. The police in our community occupy our area, our community as a foreign troop occupying territory.
They provided community services called survival programs to promote self-determination. Free food, especially breakfast for school children, free health care, and voter registration drives. They established schools in 9 cities. Women made up roughly half of the Panther membership of about 2,000, and they often held leadership roles. From 1974 until 1977, Elaine Brown was the head of the National Party. But it was the group's paramilitary displays that drew the white establishment's attention and alarm. Members patrolled neighborhoods in black jackets and black berets, openly and legally carrying weapons. For many white Americans, a photo of stern-looking Newton holding a rifle and a spear became their image of Black Panthers. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover called the party the greatest threat to internal security and ordered surveillance to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the Black Panthers. Tensions with local police led to deadly clashes. In Chicago, a police raid killed rising party star Fred Hampton and party member Mark Clark. In 1982, the federal government paid $1.8 million to settle a lawsuit alleging that the FBI had a role in the Chicago raid. Plagued by internal disputes and power struggles, the party was essentially defunct by the late 1970s. It was formally disbanded in 1982. But many see parts of its legacy living on today in groups like Black Lives Matter. Party members were among the first to openly challenge police violence, often converging on the scene when officers stopped young black men on the streets. Donna Murch is an associate professor of history at Rutgers University and the author of Living for the City, Migration, Education, and the Rise of the Black Panther Party in Oakland, California. Donna, from your perspective, what is the greatest legacy of the Black Panther Party?
I think the greatest legacy was a youth movement, a young organization composed mainly of people in their late teens and early 20s, working class youth that had migrated from the South, who found themselves having unprecedented access to high school and college in California. And out of that, they helped form a study group and create a new type of organization and youth movement that was focused on serving the community. It started with confronting police violence because that's what the community saw as its single biggest problem. This is the era of the urban rebellions. You know, the party is formed a year after Watts, and they were willing to perform a form of activism in order to empower others. But very quickly after the police patrols, the Panthers shifted into something called survival pending revolution, which meant founding free breakfast programs, freedom schools, and the longest running institution of the Black Panther Party was a school in Oakland that ran for almost a decade.
Can you put the Black Panther Party in sort of the context of the civil rights movement of where they stood, what role the organization filled, what their contributions were?
I think one of the best ways to understand the Panther Party is to think about the Black freedom movement as having a large geography and time period. So the party is formed a year after the passage of the Voting Rights Act. But you know, the dismantling of legal segregation in the South did not dismantle the problems of economics and access in the North and in the West. And one of the central issues about this was both police violence and people not having equal access to the social welfare state. So I would describe the Panthers as emerging in this moment post-civil rights, after the accomplishments of the civil rights movement, of the successful passage of the Civil Rights Act and also the Voting Rights Act. But I would be remiss to not talk about the global link to the Panthers. They're formed in 1966, and this is after over a decade of decolonization of African countries winning their independence. And also, very importantly, they look to Asia. The Panthers are formed in Northern California, and they were adamant in their opposition to the Vietnam War and American imperialism. They identified with the Vietnamese, the Viet Minh, and with Ho Chi Minh, and they actually looked a lot to Vietnam, to China, and to a vision of anti-colonialism and a socialist state that would serve the people. So I think that's one of the most important contexts. The other thing I really want to stress, because the popular representations of the Panthers is wrong. So many people find out about the Panthers through Forrest Gump. They're represented as anti-white Black militants. But the truth is that the party, of all the 60s organizations, they had the strongest ties to creating a multiracial coalition, what was called in this period the Rainbow Coalition that Jesse Jackson later picks up on. So they united with white radical youth, who they called Mother Country radicals, to oppose the Vietnam War. And this was incredibly threatening to the government of the time, to J. Edgar Hoover in particular, because you basically saw a multiracial coalition uniting to stop anti-communism and violence in the global South. So I think that would also be the Panthers' legacy, a model of multiracial coalition building.
You mentioned the free breakfast program that they ran in communities, which is not that far apart from the federal free breakfast program that's being run now. But there was also a political vision in that, wasn't there?
Yes, that's such an important point. They were arguing that the social welfare state as it existed was not serving the people, and that they, as teenagers, could provide free breakfast. When they started the Freedom Schools, so many of the low-income children who went to Panther schools had not had breakfast, and they couldn't learn. And so they were shaming the state. And although we don't have the direct documentary evidence, it is thought by many scholars that shaming of the state prompted the issuing of free school lunch.
Are there groups today that you see as direct descendants of the Black Panther Party that can draw a direct line from them to today?
Yeah, I would say, my first book was about the party's genesis in Oakland. It's called Living for the City. But my second book is about the last 10 years. And it's about the Black Lives Matter movement and why they chose Assata Shakur, who was a rank and file Panther member from New York City. So she's not from Oakland, where the Panthers were formed. She's from New York. And she wasn't part of the traditional male leadership. And especially over the last 10 years in the fight against state violence and murder and mass incarceration, Assata has become the best known of the Panthers. And it's from a poem that she wrote in Cuba in the 1980s that so many of these movement organizations opened their meetings. It is our duty to fight for freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Donna Murch of Rutgers University, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's truly my pleasure.
Again, mm, mm, mm. My people, and power to the people. We are still walking around in chains. There's still unalivings. There's still hangings. We still have people that's being unalive while they're jogging. We still have a woman that comes up missing during a routine traffic stop. We had a man that didn't listen to what a 911 operator told them to do. And next thing we know, Trayvon Martin is unalived, and they made him a victim. They made him an abuse. They made him everything. They did not hold George Zimmerman accountable for waiting until the police got there. The stats are there. They put all of these patrol stops in our neighborhoods where they're checking for insurance and just little petty things, broken headlights, anything to stop them and give them tickets. We see the stats. We see how the difference is with our race with the longer prison sentences. We see that they put drugs in the black community. The minute we get it here, then they put drugs in the community. Everybody ain't strong. They put drugs in the community. They try to tell you that black men aren't anything. All of this hypocritical stuff that they've been talking about. Because they're beautiful kings. And their true leaders is within themselves. The Black Panther Party discovered WIC. See, we built this country, didn't get our mule and up to 40 acres. They rescinded on that. We got hosed down like dogs to be treated equally. You sent informants in to unalive our people. What are you scared of? The United Snakes of America? What are you scared of? Why y'all so worried about our people? Why do you have to deem them as non-human savages? Y'all are the ones. You threw them in projects, living all on top of each other. Another one of your experiments. Kash Patel, you don't tell me who I should mourn. Just like we didn't have no choice but to accept that CK man. You need to be worrying about those Epstein files. What else you covering up there in that white supremacy house? Because the only thing I've seen is a bunch of people showing how really racist they are and think they can say anything they want to black people. You're trying to whitewash our history. Well, we want to blackwash y'all history. Release them Epstein files. That's what you need to be worrying about, Kash Patel. You need to be worrying about those Epstein files. Release them. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people that was hosed down in order for me to be able to vote. Power to those people that got up and marched. Power to the people for the different programs that was put in place. Affirmative action, because y'all not gonna hire us. You gonna hire so many just to reach your quota because you scared we're gonna move next door to you. You know, power to the people for the Black Panther Party starting hot breakfasts, which turned into WIC. And shame on you, the United States of America government, that any movement that would have helped our people to advance from Martin Luther King to Malcolm X, you unalive them. But y'all still got all of these beautiful gatekeepers. Y'all love them. Y'all love them ones that's keeping the plan going to keep us down outright, down in the gutter. Power to the people. Power to the people that see through all of this BS. Cause ain't no way, you know, that this woman escaped the prison and went to another country. They knew she was innocent. They knew what they would do to her. And back then, all that the police did was unalive us, harass us, and it still happens today. We're gonna look at some more videos so you would know exactly who Assata Shakur was.
decades on the run. Over 40 years, the FBI has been searching for this woman. They believed for all this time that she had been in Cuba, but they were not able to extradite her from Cuba because of the bad relations that we had with Fidel Castro. As you point out, we are learning about her death today, and it was all around the conviction and the execution-style murder of a New Jersey state trooper. He was 32-year-old Wiener Forrester, and this came as a result. He was shot and killed as a result of the police stopping the car that she was in because she had been part of a nationwide manhunt because she was a suspect in a grenade attack on police back in the early 1970s. And as you point out, she escaped from that prison, went to Cuba. She was born in 1947 in New York, grew up in New York and North Carolina. And at one point, she joined the Black Panthers and became a part of the Black Liberation Army. And you point out also that she changed her name. And living in Cuba all this time, they even thought that when Barack Obama was president, when he went over to Cuba, that he might bring up this case and try to get her from Cuba. Didn't happen. According to Cuban authorities, she died in of old age and of health complications. She was 78 years old. Decades on the run. Over 40 years, the FBI has been searching for this woman. They believed for all this time that she had been in Cuba, but they were not able to extradite her from Cuba because of the bad relations that we had with Fidel Castro. As you point out, we are learning about her death today, and it was all around the conviction and the execution-style murder of a New Jersey state trooper. He was 32-year-old Wiener. And as you point out, she escaped from that prison, went to Cuba. She was born in 1947 in New York, grew up in New York and North Carolina.
Kash Patel, the FBI director, you need to be worried about the Epstein files and all other mess y'all got going on in the white supremacy house. That's what you need to be worrying about. How dare you tell people not to mourn? I dare you. How dare you try to tell people how they should feel, who they should mourn, and you want me to mourn a person that sat up and talked about my race like they was everything, like they was gutter trash that y'all have always tried to make us look. How dare you? And whoever told you to put that out, we need to know what they did over there on Epstein Island. Worry about all of these peeps, what they've done to all of these young girls. Worry about all of those Catholic priests who abused them, allegedly boys. But yet, y'all make a big documentary about R. Kelly. None of them people in the White House are any different from him. Y'all like to make the face of black people of everything that's bad. why we the chosen people. The first.
Assata Shakur. Some may know her as a member of the Black Liberation Army. Some may recognize the name as the late rapper Tupac Shakur's godmother. But if you were to look up Assata Shakur on the internet, you might find that she's a bank robber, a kidnapper, and a murderer. According to Shakur, through interviews in her autobiography, Assata, that is not at all her story. It is true that she has been a political activist since the 1960s, has worked alongside many famous revolutionaries like Huey P. Newton and Angela Davis. The meaning of her chosen name, Assata Alubala, reflects her life and legacy. She who struggles for the people. Her life has been dedicated to the collective struggle for Black liberation. So how did Assata go from activist to FBI's most wanted? This is what you didn't know about Assata Shakur. There's no evidence of the birth of Assata Shakur, at least none that can be confirmed by the FBI. The wanted poster released by the Federal Bureau of Investigation lists Shakur's birthday as July 16th, 1947, but in parentheses it states not substantiated by birth records. The FBI also notes that Shakur used August 19th, 1952 as her birthday. However, she was born as Joanne Bryan, what she calls her slave name, in Jamaica, Queens, New York, where she grew up moving back and forth between her mom, aunt, and grandparents in Wilmington, North Carolina. Growing up in the Jim Crow era, Shakur's grandparents, Lola and Frank Hill, who owned a local dance hall, instilled in her a sense of dignity, especially regards to white people. They would tell her things like, "You're as good as anyone else. Don't let anyone tell you that they're better than you." And when it came to white people, she was forbidden from calling them ma'am or sir, looking down while speaking to them, or any other subservient gestures. In her autobiography, she writes, "I was told to hold my head up high or risk having my grandparents knock it off my shoulders." Although Shakur experienced racism earlier in life, she wouldn't begin to radicalize into her late teen years. At 17 years old, Shakur dropped out of school and moved out on her own. She lived with strangers for a while until her aunt Evelyn, who later became her lawyer, took her in and helped her get an ED. She would go on to attend Bureau of Manhattan Community College and later City College of New York. She made friends with many of the African students on campus. Then one day in 1964, a discussion on the roots of the Vietnam War changed her life. I never forgot that day. We're taught at such an early age to be against communists, yet most of us don't have the faintest idea what communism is. Only the fool let somebody else tell him who his enemy is. She became active in different organizations like the Garveyites in the Republic of New Africa. In the late 1960s, Assata would join one of the most prominent political organizations, the Black Panther Party. Though brief, her time with the Black Panthers would mark a life-changing turn of events in her political career. She had always revered the message of the Black Panther Party, especially because they made it really clear who the enemy was, not the white people, but the capitalistic, imperialistic oppressors. Shakur has said that the party not being open to criticism led to her exit from the organization. In her autobiography, she writes, "Constructive criticism and self-criticism are extremely important for any revolutionary organization. Without them, people tend to drown in their own mistakes, not learning from them." Infiltration, namely COINTELPRO, among other factors, led to the demise of the Black Panther Party, but not before its most prominent members had turned against each other, been killed, falsely imprisoned, or demonetized in the media. These events gave way to the Black Liberation Army, a group that the FBI named Shakur the heart of. BLA members operated under the belief that only through covert means, including but not limited to violent acts, could the movement be continued. This underground Black Party spinoff built its tactics around revolutionary violence with the goal to take up arms for the liberation of Black people in the United States. Acting as her own co-counsel in a 1976 trial for murder, Assata claimed in her opening statement, "The Black Liberation Army is not an organization. It goes beyond that. It is a concept, a people's movement, an idea. The idea of a Black Liberation Army emerged from conditions in Black communities, conditions of poverty, indecent housing, massive unemployment, poor medical care, and inferior education." She continued, "The concept of the BLA arose because of its political, social, and economic oppression of Black people in this country. And where there is oppression, there is resistance." From 1971 to 1973, Shakur was alleged to have committed a series of heinous crimes: 2 bank robberies in New York, the kidnapping of a drug dealer, armed robbery, and the attempted murder of a policeman in an ambush. In 1972, the FBI issued a warrant for her arrest in connection with these crimes allegedly committed by the BLA. It was clear that the Black Liberation Army was a target for the FBI, local police agencies, and they were being pinned with every violent crime in the area. Assata would later either be acquitted for every charge or the case was dismissed. Then came the events of May 2nd, 1973, the fatal Jersey Turnpike shootout. There are different accounts of what happened that night, but what we do know is that Assata and her political associates, Zaid Malik Shakur and Sadana Coley, were stopped by State Trooper James Harper, backed up by Trooper Wiener Forster for driving with a broken tail light. Shots were fired and Zaid Shakur and Wiener Forster were killed. After fleeing the scene, Assata, wounded with 2 gunshots to the arm and the back, surrendered to the police, and Coley was captured after a 36-hour manhunt. Only the survivors know what really happened that night, and Assata refuses to share details, even to this day. But in 1977, upon being found guilty, Assata maintains that the jury convicted a woman with her hands up. The trial was considered by many to be a miscarriage of justice, beginning with the jury selection. Transcripts show that at least 2 of the juries expressed prejudice before the start of the trial. 15 jurors selected, all white, were close friends or relatives to New Jersey state troopers. The major key in Assata's defense was medical testimony proving that during the confrontation, she was shot with her hands up, sustaining paralyzing wounds that would make her unable to fire a weapon in the manner that Trooper Harper had testified. Harper's testimony conflicted throughout the trial, and he testified to lying in his official report on the incident as well as in his grand jury testimony. And though there were no forensic evidence proving that Assata ever touched a gun that night, the jury found her guilty on all 8 counts. She was sentenced to life plus 30 years. Shakur spent years in jail before conviction under conditions that most would consider to be deplorable. In her autobiography, she tells of being embarrassed and even tortured by police in the hospital after the incident. She was chained to her hospital bed and interrogated while gravely injured. She was even held in an all-male prison in solitary confinement for over 20 months and under 24-hour surveillance. She was beaten and given less than adequate medical care, even when she became pregnant with her only daughter, Kakuya. When the prison first found out she was pregnant, the doctor not only lied about her diagnosis multiple times, but he also refused to provide Shakur with any support besides an abortion. So in 1979, Assata Shakur had decided that it was time to go. On November 2nd, she escaped from the Clinton Correctional Facility for women. It is said that a group of members of the Black Liberation Army helped Shakur escape by posing as visitors to the prison. Holding 2 correctional officers hostage at gunpoint, they stole a prison van to get off the facility grounds, leaving the hostages in the parking lot before switching cars and fleeing the scene. Shakur refuses to go into detail about her escape in solitary with those incarcerated due to their involvement. After breaking out of prison, Assata went on the run and remained underground for 5 years until fleeing to Cuba and receiving political asylum in 1984. To this day, Shakur remains in Cuba with the FBI, classifying her as a domestic terrorist since May 2nd, 2005. In 2013, on the 40th anniversary of Trooper Forster's death, Shakur became the first woman added to the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. They placed a $2 million bounty on the activist. In 1998, Shakur told Source magazine, "The U.S. government tries to eliminate me, but I'm not like they want you to believe, or a gangster. The FBI has a way of leaking all kinds of stories about me to the press, the same way they've always tried to criminalize the Black Liberation Movement. Because of this, we as a people have to be really clear about who we are and what we stand for." Assata Shakur. Some may know her as a member of the Black Liberation Army. Some may recognize the name as the late rapper.
Power to the people. Power to the people. Police officer. I also realized people broke her out of jail and she went to live in Cuba. Who they know that, and this is not the United States government has always put in black people's business. Y'all see the United States of America has always infiltrated themselves into anything that would benefit the advancement of black people, colored people, Negroes, African Americans, whatever y'all want to call us. But we sure couldn't get in y'all business. We can't even speak out against some of these racist people like CK, people losing their jobs, they doing everything. You can't make this stuff up. Only in the United States of America. So now this is what we got going on in Chicago. You know, the teachers union, they this is what we got going on. This is to show you these hypocrites.
Let's let him do his job, right?
This is what
Love to get involved.
is going on in Chicago right now.
Latte for Jan?
How these dirty people want to tell us who we should mourn.
As in January. Canned goods, OJ, root beer, then probably sandwich cookies. Progressives can't protect you from ignoring your parents, but we can protect your home and auto. Jan, I guess. Jan?
Here we go.
Opening several Chicago older people say they'll denounce the Chicago Teachers Union for a social media post honoring Assata Shakur. Now, the CTU honored the Black Liberation Army member life following her death last week at the age of 78. To some, including the CTU, Shakur was a symbol of resistance to racial injustice and government suppression. Shakur, though, was also convicted in the murder of a New Jersey state trooper in the 1970s. While serving a life sentence, she escaped prison and lived the rest of her life in Cuba. She also received political asylum. Some Chicago elders say the CTU's post was, quote, glorifying extremist violence. Coming up at 9, those leaders plan to hold a press conference.
The United States of America.
After months of rumors and predictions,
everybody wants to tell people who we should mourn. Who should we, you know, do everything? I mean, oh my God. Didn't they put on the show for C. Kirk? Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people that marched. Power to the people that tried to help the advancement of our people. Power to the people. The Martin Luther King, the Malcolm X, the Fred Hamptons, the Black Panther Party. People that wanted to make sure that Black people received the same opportunities as other people. We built this country for free. Our patents were stolen. We never received Field Order 15. You know, you threw people in projects. You had us stacked up on each other. You put dope in the community. You drop off bags of guns in the Black community. You know, you made women think a man, they could do without a man, that they couldn't have a man in the house. You made a welfare system, but you told the Black women that they can't have a man in their house. You've done so much to try to destroy the chosen people. The last will be first, and the first will be last. Yet we still rise. You burned down Tulsa, Oklahoma. And now everybody wants to tell people, oh, you, oh my, oh my God, oh my God, I can't make this up. Oh Lord, oh Elizabeth, the big one is coming, the big one. Because they want to, have mercy. Help me, the big one. Because y'all wanted me to support CK. And these people, they so bold. They bold. These people are so bold now. They are bold and they telling you that we still ain't nothing. They telling you, they telling people, they were going around on college tours telling young Caucasian kids in colleges that we still wasn't nothing to fear us. We're not smart, we're not intelligent. We're not qualified to be pilots. We're not qualified to do anything. You know why they say that? Because they know we are overqualified. We built this country without no college degrees. We built that White House. We built them plantations. You stole our patents. Power to the people. Kash, Patel, what you need to do is worry about them Epstein files. Kash, Patel, how long you gonna be a yes man? Get you some balls. But see, all of y'all corrupt. All of y'all. You're all corrupt. Y'all are flunky to that thing I don't even want to say these names anymore. Y'all are flunking. We're seeing how this world is being ran. Release them Epstein files. We saw what an embarrassment that person was last week. Oh,
A 70.
these people want us to go along with their agenda. Hmm. They want me to, like a man that talked about my people and other people. Can't make this, can't make this up. But I'm gonna end the show. And we're gonna hear her words again. We're gonna hear what she said about what happened. We could not trust the government to give us the real, actual, true information. Just like we see, they're not going to release those Epstein files.
We end today's show with the words of Assata Shakur, who died in Havana, Cuba,
Listen
Thursday
to her
at the age of
words.
78. She was a legendary figure within the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army. Assata Shakur was convicted in the May 2nd, 1973 killing of a New Jersey state trooper during a shootout that left one of her fellow activists dead. She was shot twice by police during the incident. In 1979, she managed to escape from jail and flee to Cuba, where she received political asylum. She long proclaimed her innocence. In 1998, Democracy Now! Aired her reading an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba. She wrote the message after New Jersey state troopers sent the Pope a letter asking him to call for her extradition. This is Assata Shakur.
My name is Assata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. I spent my early childhood in a racist, segregated South. I later moved to the northern part of the country, where I realized that Black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression. I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles, the anti-war movement, and most of all, in the movement for the liberation of African Americans in the United States. I later joined the Black Panther Party, an organization that was targeted by the COINTELPRO program, a program that was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies, to destroy the Black liberation movement in the United States, to discredit activists, and to eliminate potential leaders. Under the COINTELPRO program, many political activists were harassed, imprisoned, murdered, or otherwise neutralized. As a result of being targeted by COINTELPRO, I, like many other young people, was faced with the threat of prison, underground, exile, or death. The FBI, with the help of local police agencies, systematically sent false accusations and fake news articles to the press, accusing me and other activists of crimes we did not commit. Although in my case the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer could shoot me on sight. It was not until the Freedom of Information Act was passed in the mid-70s that we began to see the scope of the United States government's persecution of political activists. At this point, I think that it is important to make one thing very clear. I have advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty. Story short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back. I was left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I was taken to a local hospital where I was threatened, beaten, and tortured. In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that can only be described as a legal lynching. In 1979, I was able to escape with the aid of some of my fellow comrades. I saw this as a necessary step, not only because I was innocent of the charges against me, but because I knew that the racist legal system in the United States, I would receive no justice. I was also afraid that I would be murdered in prison. I later arrived in Cuba, where I am currently living in exile as a political refugee. The New Jersey State Police and other law enforcement officials say they want to see me brought to justice. But I would like to know what they mean by justice. Is torture justice? I was kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 years, mostly in men's prisons. Is that justice? Were threatened with imprisonment and imprisoned. Is that justice? I was tried by an all-white jury without even the pretext of impartiality, and then sentenced to life in prison plus 33 years. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too. I ask nothing for myself. I only ask you to examine the social reality of the United States and to speak out against the human rights violations that are taking place. On this day, the birthday of Martin Luther King, I am reminded of all those who gave their lives for freedom. Most of the people who live on this planet are still not free. I ask only that you continue to work and pray to end oppression and political repression. It is my heartfelt belief that all the people on this earth deserve justice. Social justice, political justice, and economic justice. I believe we will ever achieve peace and prosperity on this earth. I hope that you enjoy your visit to Cuba. This is a country that is rich in material wealth, but it is a country that is rich in human wealth, spiritual wealth, and moral wealth. Respectfully yours, Assata Shakur, Havana, Cuba.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications
Well,
to make sure you never
I
miss a
am
video.
so
And
thankful,
for more of our audience-supported journalism,
that Assata Shakur, even though she had to go live in another country, I am thankful that they got her out of the United States of America, because they know how dirty this government is, and they can put the narrative out there through their media and make you to be out to be the most terrible person on the earth. Kash, Patel, release them Epstein files. Flunky. Now, this is April Showers. I thank y'all for joining me for the show today. Remember, the Black Panther Party wanted economic, social, economic, better opportunities for the people of all colors, but mainly the black people. They started schools. They started the Head Start, the hot breakfast before school, because back then, they didn't want to hire us. They still wanted us, people, to be their nannies and raise their kids. While they were sending their kids to good colleges and schools. And so the Black Panther Party started their own schools, so we, the black people, children, would have a better education system. That's all they wanted. They wanted for us to be equal. That's all. Martin wanted, and that's all Malcolm wanted. Any movement that would help our people, the federal government sent in informants, paid informants like they do now, to let y'all know what's going on, to set people up, and for them to look like they really gave a damn about us. This is April Showers. Power to the people.